All right, we're live. Well, we're on. I always say live, but we're not live.
I mean, you and I are live.
Yeah, that's true. So I appreciate doing this. As I said just a few minutes ago, I discovered All Roads through. So I have a record club that's like a subscription service, and one of my members, he always takes pictures of every record he buys, and he has I wish I had like that dedication, because I try to do it, and like I'm not really good at taking pictures, and I'm not really good at social media. You know what I mean? But he had all. I think it was when All Roads came out. He had gotten it on vinyl, and there was something about the cover that like drew me in, and I was like, "What's this?" And he was telling me about you and the record, and I was like, "All right, I'm gonna check it out." And it blew me away. It absolutely blew me away.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I feel like that's the intention of an album cover too, right?
Yeah, to draw you in. I think so. I mean, I think you got to use everything, really. You know what I mean? Like even like if I was to go on your Bandcamp and I'm like, "Oh, this is that album cover. Let me look at it." And then like I see the vinyl, like that black splatter on the white. I'm like, "Oh yeah."
Hell yeah.
Like, it's almost like we got to get it just for that, you know.
For sure, man.
So like last year there was I feel like last year was a big year for music, especially in like the punk rock ethos or just in rock and roll in general. I feel as far as independent music, every year, you know, all these podcasts, they all do like their favorite albums of 2024 or 2023 or whatever year they're in.
Yeah.
And I made my list, and like we capped it, and I was like, there's so much more I want to talk about. And like it was because there was so much music that came out last year. And a few slipped through the cracks, and this one did. But I was listening to my buddies Ron and Matt over at Our Brains Hurt.
Yeah.
And they both mentioned your record, and it just triggered him. I'm like, I forgot about that. I think I got it. I bought it that night after I listened to him. Yeah, man, awesome record. Those guys are great, by the way. You know them, right?
I know Matt. His band Savage Remains and my old band Knockin' Bones played together. So
cool.
Those guys are awesome. And I didn't even know that we were on their list until I listened to your podcast and you tagged us and mentioned it. Because apparently, because they're pretty bad at social media too, apparently, because I don't think they mentioned that they did that at all.
Yeah, the three of us are old heads. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way too.
No doubt. So tell me a little bit. Like you're in Austin?
I am in Austin, Texas. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about what the music community is like in Austin. I really don't know much. I know it's like a big like comedy scene now, I think, over there, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of comedy going on over here, but there's so much music. You know, I'm from New York, Long Island, New York. I lived in California. I lived in Portland, and just comparing those few places that I've lived, Austin's music scene is just so huge. There are so many musicians here. I mean, they call it the live music capital of the world for a reason. I honestly can't think of another place in the world where there's just so much music consolidated in one place, and such a variety of it too. Like, there's punk rock, there's honky tonk, there's hip hop, there's psych rock, there's rock and roll. Like, it's just all over the place, and there's always music going on. It's a really good place to be if you want to be playing some music, for sure.
Yeah. Now, does everyone like kind of like, you know, go out for each other? You know what I mean? Like would you see people at like a psych rock show, like at a punk rock show or anything like that? Because like I feel like those communities kind of happen too, like where everyone's just like they're just pumped for live music, right? It doesn't have to be like, as long as you're making art, people love it, you know? Yeah,
there's a little bit of that, but there's definitely like, I mean, I wouldn't say division, but there are different scenes, you know? Certain people like hang out at certain places. Yeah, and especially as far as like venues go, there's only a handful of punk rock venues that we really play at, and a handful of like, you know, venues for certain things. I mean, honky tonk and country music's huge here, so there's places for those guys to play all over the place.
Right.
So there's a little bit of the mixing, and like musicians are just friends with other musicians, so we go out and support each other all the time.
Right on. I was trying to think of Texas bands that I know of, and like I know of like I think there's a couple in the San Antonio area, or at least there's one guy I know in the San Antonio area who's in some awesome bands over the years. And then I found someone on Threads from Boston, a band called Lindsay, I think.
Not familiar with them.
Yeah. So there's a lot. I mean, I you know, again, in Austin's it's not a small city either, right? It's a fairly large city compared to a lot of these East Coast cities.
Yeah. There's for sure, man. It's pretty big. Some of the bigger like punk rock bands from here, Riverboat Gamblers, Crumb Bums, Starving Wolves are out doing the thing.
Okay.
Born to
I didn't
Lose
know
is a big band.
Yeah, that Born to Lose. I was thinking of Chris actually from Born to Lose. Yeah,
You know Clink?
Yeah, a little bit here and there. I met him through a friend because of this stuff. You know what I mean?
Cool.
And in his new band, you know, I've listened to his new band, and the record club that I have now.
That
I was a member.
me.
Yeah,
Mark Lind, right? Okay.
Yeah. So the record club that I have, like, it was Mark's first, and then he was closing up shop, and he asked me to take it over. So like I got, like, you know, I learned about, like, Nowhere Bound because of that. You know what I mean? Like
I was in Nowhere Bound.
Were you? Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Right on. So what brought you to Texas from Long Island? Also, I want to say, like, one of the things I had mentioned when we were talking about your record on that episode was, like, it had an East Coast vibe to it, and I didn't know if that was because of, like, you know, you like went to Jersey and you know, you to get it like produced or whatever, but like that makes sense that you're from the East Coast. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Long Island, so like I spent the first 20 years of my life there, so I'm very influenced by that East Coast sound, man. Bouncing Souls, H2O, Movie Life, Silent Majority, Kill Your Idols, fucking stuff like that, man. I just grew up on it, so it's just a part of my writing. I can't, like, even though I wanted to escape it, I don't think I could. But I also do think that just being in Asbury Park with Pete just kind of had that essence. It provided that essence of it, you know?
Yeah, it puts a little magic on there. Yeah,
for sure.
Right on. So what brought you down to Texas?
I was a bit of a nomad in my early 20s. I left Long Island when I was 20 years old. I moved to California. I lived in Portland. My brother and I and a friend bought a school bus, and we lived on a bus for a little while. And then awesome. I kind of just wound up in Austin, and I just made so many friends here, and it just felt right, like, so immediately. And there was such an opportunity for me to be playing music here that that I just stuck around.
It's weird when that happens, right? So I pride myself on, I was a bit of a nomad myself, and like just a wanderer, you know. Mm-hmm. And when I moved, but I stayed mostly in New England. Like, I went down south. I've been to, like, you know, I went down to North Carolina, Tennessee. I was in Pittsburgh for a bit, but like when I moved to Massachusetts, like, I kind of like just like felt something here, you know, and like I left and then came back, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's not like I left and like went back home to Rhode Island, like to the bottom of Rhode Island by Connecticut. No, I went back to Massachusetts. Like, to me, is my home. Like, I get what you're saying, where you just kind of feel that, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's just a different vibe over there, and like there's definitely like a sound too, you know. Mm-hmm. Right. Like Menzingers and Gaslight Anthem and fucking Bouncing Souls and Dave House and all that stuff. It's like a sound there, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, all right, so let me ask you this. Now, in like 2015, I see you have like solo albums out, and then now you have the Revelry. So were you like solo for a while, or just kind of like making your way into it, and then decided you wanted a band, or were you just always looking for like the right band, you know?
A couple of things, really. I mean, in 2015, I was playing in like 5 different bands. Buried Cities, Knocking Bones, Nowhere Bound, Street Lions, and then I was also like kind of starting to do my solo stuff. It was just like a time where I was just doing everything I possibly could, you know? And so the solo stuff was kind of on the back burner, just like some extra songs I had. And then around 2017, I started writing my second record, Remission. And then when that came out, I wanted a full band experience to play these songs, which I hadn't really done with my music before, my solo music. So I brought out a full band then, and we started playing solo, full band stuff at the end of 2019. Come, you know, lockdown, we had to kind of, a lot of things changed, band members swapped around and stuff, and like in the interim I was writing new songs, which eventually became All Roads, and then like finally found a lineup that I felt really good with, and we were all clicking. These are the guys that I took to Jersey to record that record with, and for the most part, and it was actually going to be a solo record because I had written everything myself, and I was just having some guys play with me on the record. When more like the post-production side of things, the guys in the band were kind of contributing to the way the album was going to look, and you know what our plans were as far as marketing goes and touring and stuff. So it just kind of felt right to me to include the full band on the record and just kind of start presenting us that way. So this way I can, you know, go out in the world and tour with a full band, and then like if I want to do acoustic stuff, I can still just do it by myself.
Yeah, right on. Now, let me ask you this: when you're playing in other bands, right? You're playing in other bands, you're on these other projects, and you could be definitely, I'm sure at some point, like if you weren't like the whole time in the writing process with these other bands as well. What's the difference, like internally, from like your stuff to that? Like, is there something more to, like, is your stuff more personal? You know what I'm saying?
For sure. Yeah, my stuff is definitely more personal. It's got like what's the word? It just they're my babies, you know. Like I take a lot of pride in the songs that are like in my solo stuff, and I'm a lot less willing to like bend or compromise on how those things sound. And then when it comes to writing with other bands, I'm not playing in any other bands right now, but often in other bands, like I would be a rhythm guitar player and a backup vocalist, which is kind of where I like to be. And it's just, I can contribute to songs that other people are writing. Maybe I'll bring an idea to the table that I don't know what to do with, and then we finish it as a band. Whereas with my solo project, I kind of see it through myself and then bring it to my band and let them kind of add their own flavor to it.
Right on. Now, was there any kind of like nervousness or anxiety to go from like backing vocals and rhythm guitar to fronting a band? Like, was it just business as usual?
Yeah, a little bit. The first time I had to do that was in probably 2013, I think. I was playing in a band called Revenants, where I was, like I said, backup vocalist and like a rhythm/lead guitar player, which is where I kind of felt comfortable my whole life. And then our singer left, but we had written all these songs and we didn't want to break up, so I kind of just had to like find my way to the center of the stage. And ever since then, I kind of just been getting more comfortable and more comfortable with it, especially like after my first solo record came out, I started doing more acoustic things. So when you're doing acoustic stuff, it's just you out there, so you really got to figure out how to get comfortable on stage by yourself without anything, like, you know, no shields really, except for your acoustic guitar, I guess.
Yeah. I get you. And then like, so what about with like forming a band? Like, was it now, because like, I don't know, like fronting a band and having people like playing your stuff now, like, was that nerve-wracking at all at first?
No, not really. I kind of just asked my friends to do it for a while. Nathan and Guido they were just buddies of mine, and I like playing music with them, so I just asked them to do it. And then like just finding my drummer and our lead guitar player now, just kind of looking around for anybody who could do the thing. And yeah, it wasn't really nerve-wracking at all. I was just looking for the right people, really.
Right on. Now, is there any kind of like, I don't know, so like I write, right? And like when I write, depending on what I'm writing, I guess. So like it does something for me. Like you know what I mean? Like it helps me get it out, helps, you know what I mean? And now I've written projects with other people before, and it's a little bit different for me. Now, is there like, but having like, between doing your solo stuff and then having a band with you, like, is the writing the same because it's your stuff, or, you know, or is it like kind of a little bit different? You know, I don't know. I always, cause me, I'm kind of a fucking weirdo. So like, I don't know if I could put it all out there with somebody else working with me. You know what I mean? Like, it's tough. I think.
Yeah, for sure. Collaboration can be a little difficult for me sometimes. I mean, like I said, it kind of depends. If I'm in somebody else's band, then it's easy to just like collaborate. But when it's like, I mean, for me it is anyway, but when it's my thing, I'm kind of particular about it, and I want things to go a certain way. But also with this band, we haven't really had the opportunity to write together or collaborate together, which is something we plan on doing within the next couple months. We're playing Punk Rock Bowling next month, and then after that we're going to take a couple months off and just kind of start writing and work on some singles and maybe a new album. So I guess I'll have the opportunity to do it then, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, is everybody in the same area then? Are you guys all like kind of centrally located near Austin, or?
I mean, we're all in Austin, but we're kind of spread out a little bit. I mean, our practice space is 5 minutes away from me. Everybody else has to travel like 20 minutes, but whatever.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's not bad. Yeah, that's not bad. That's like, you know, that's nothing.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. That's cool. It seems like just listening to the album, like it seems like you're having a lot of fun. Like there's a lot of anthemic going on in the songs, and it's funny. I was listening. So today I was listening to. I'm sorry, I forgot the name of the first record you put out, the solo one.
The very first one is self-titled, and then there was one called Remission.
Yeah. So I was listening to the self-titled one today, and like because I'm used to hearing the band, and then I hear that, but it's not like it sounds so like it sounds like it's interchangeable almost. I don't know. There was something about your acoustic album that I was like, huh. Like it sounded really good. Like it didn't sound like it was bare bones. You know what I'm saying? Like it, and that I think that comes from the artist. I think that comes from like just the energy you're bringing. You know what I mean? Because I think sometimes people think they have to slow down a song if they're doing an acoustic. You know, and I feel like you kept the same intensity as you do on All Roads in your solo stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that first record was very experimental. Like I had a bunch of songs that I was playing acoustic by myself, and I didn't really know how to like put a full band to it. So it was super experimental. The only other person on that record, aside from like guest vocalist, was my drummer. I kind of did everything myself. But the intention for me at that time was to always write songs that could be either acoustic or full band. So if I was playing with a full band, we can get loud and rowdy. And if I was playing by myself, I can just do it by myself. And that's still kind of my intention. There are some songs that don't translate super well, but like for the most part, I could play almost any one of my songs acoustic or full band.
Now, is the vibe for All Roads like? Because like I'm looking at the cover. Like, is the vibe for that just kind of being on the road, like kind of like we were talking about being like a wanderer, kind of nomadic kind of thing? And
yeah, for sure. I mean, the kind of concept behind the record for me was twofold. One of them being that it was like a road record, something you want to listen to while you're traveling, which I think is something that maybe you said on your podcast when you were talking about us.
Yeah.
And I was like, this guy gets it.
Yeah, and like I feel like the songs are like the perfect length for like a road tripping song. I mean, a road tripping album. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Because like I dig it.
I mean, there's a lot of that theme in like the songs themselves too, like well traveled and like weather. They're all talking about things like using the road as a metaphor, basically riding shotgun, obviously. And there's also the song "Betty and Her Boys" is about the school bus I lived on, but that's also like about traveling and being a nomad.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely about like being on the road. And then the other thing was it's thematically kind of about where we are in life, where we've been, and like where we could go, and all the roads that are open to us, the possibilities.
Right. I like that. That's kind of like how I like lived my life. It was just kind of like, you know what I mean? Like you can get to the end result on many roads. Like, you know, growing up, we're told like, well, at least my generation, like this is the one way you got to do this. And you know what I mean? Like get married and you have the kids and you go to college or you get the trade. Like, and I kind of like, I never really like felt comfortable with that stuff. You know what I mean? And like, so when I traveled, and then like I happened to get the opportunity to start a business that allowed me to travel. Like, I mean, it was just like, this is it. Like, this is what I want. Unfortunately, due to like gas prices soaring in like 2022, I had to close that business and then go back to like the normal working world. I felt like I completed it. Like I completed that part, that chapter, if you will. You know what I mean?
Sure. And it was probably still inside you anyway, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, I get that itch, dude. I get that itch, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
You know, like
I feel you, man.
I'm
gonna burn it all down and get on the road. Fuck it.
I want to say this too about the record. When people like kind of hate, like when people kind of just put like genres on things, and like, because honestly, like this is a great punk rock record, but it's a great rock and roll record. Like,
oh yeah, thanks.
I used to use, well, I don't think they're a band anymore, but like Red City Radio, to me, like they're one of the best current rock and roll bands. Like it doesn't matter if it was like in this. Well, this album, what I'm saying is like this 12-track album, this All Roads is like a great rock and roll album. Like I don't think when people hear punk rock, they kind of like think of one kind of thing, and it's like no, this isn't that. Like this is a great rock and roll album, and I just wanted to bring that up because I don't think I mentioned that in the last thing when we were talking about the record. But it just is. It's something you can just put on and just like kind of like just bob your head to, man. Like the whole thing. Like, even if you've heard it for the first time listening, you're gonna feel it, and you're gonna start. You know what I mean? Like that's what makes a good rock and roll record, I think.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. That's awesome to hear. It's always been difficult to put myself in a box in the genre, you know? Like when people ask me about my band, I'm like, I'm a songwriter, so like it's rooted in songwriting, but like I'm punk rock at heart, like it's my thing. So like it definitely has like a rock and roll feel to it. You could say that about bands like fucking Hot Water Music too, and like the Bronx is one of my favorite bands. Like they're a rock and roll band, but like they're still kind of associated with punk rock, so they don't know really where to put them,
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of bands like that, and I just like,
sure.
cause like I don't know, cause like, a lot of people a lot of people I know, they just like they call me like the punk rock guy, and I'm like, it's more than that, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like don't pigeonhole me, But like I know like my train of thought is punk rock thinking, which is like something that I think to me it's normal thinking, but to some people it's different. You know what I mean? But like you get what
Absolutely.
I'm saying? Like
absolutely.
That's where the whole wandering thing came from. Really, like I didn't want to do what everyone else was doing. I didn't feel like that was for me. Like I was willing to put it out there and try something different. You know what I mean? And I think that's one of the big things. Like with punk rock music, like I'll say like I'll hear something that it won't sound like a Fat Records band or something, but I'm like, that's punk rock. Like they're doing something different that they want to do, and they don't care like if it fits an aesthetic. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And it's funny how that changes too, because like when I was younger, talking about my first record, I was worried that it wasn't punk rock enough. Like writing an acoustic record, I was like, I don't know if it's punk rock enough, and like I felt it was like uncomfortable because I hadn't done it before. But I had friends telling me like, dude, it doesn't sound like it, but like it's punk rock because it's just who you are, and that kind of stuck with me. And ever since like my friend told me that, I kind of took that with me. I'm like, I could just put out the music the way I want to. It's going to have like that punk rock heart in it. I just think it's kind of part of my sound and just who I am. So I don't think it's any less punk rock because there's acoustic guitar or cellos in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's all sorts. I get excited when I hear different things too. You know, But I know, but I think it's important to have, like I said, to have these conversations about it's punk, but it can be punk rock, but it's also like rock and roll. Like this is like, and if I've said it 1,000 times on this podcast, like rock and roll was underground music. It was, at one point, Robert Johnson would have been called punk rock because no one was doing what he was doing. You know what I mean? Like you can see this has been a pattern all these years. So but I also think like there was in the 90s to now, or maybe even the 80s to now, like there's also been like this, like the music snobs will look down on the punk rock music. You know what I mean? But it's like I don't think they're closed-minded. I don't think they're it's like there's so much good stuff out there. I was someone that like I was always like, I'm not really a big country fan, but like I'll find something that sounds good. You know what I mean? Like people need to relax with their like hard nose and their, you know what I mean? Like with their rules. There's no rules to this.
I think that's something else too, like that I've kind of figured out as I've gotten older, because when I was younger, like if it wasn't punk rock or hardcore, like I wasn't interested in it. I was like, I don't want to listen to that, whatever. It's not. And then as I've gotten older and like explored more things and expanded my musical horizons, I'm like, I'm into all kinds of shit now, and like I'm very open about like sharing that stuff. Like it's kind of liberating, actually.
Hell yeah. That's why it's one of the things I like about doing the podcast, because it's like, I find musicians that I like, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to interview them. I'm going to try to interview them. You know what I mean? So we do some genre bending around here, but like, you always get, I don't know. I just think like, I think people need to look at too many subgenres maybe, unless you're specifically wanting to be that subgenre. Like it's just rock and roll. Come on. It's like, it's just like, I would call a lot of like hip hop, I'd call that punk. Like what they were doing was punk. You know what I mean? Like a lot of that stuff.
Sure.
Like, and it's all it's all there, man. It's just crazy. So tell me about like some of your influences. Like what were you listening to? I don't know how old you are. You look a lot younger than me. So
I'm 40.
Okay, we're close. God damn it, I look terrible. Thanks.
You look great, man. Look at that salt and pepper, killing it.
Yeah. Tell me about all right, so you were there for like the big eruption of like what like of punk rock and like all these different sounds that came like from the subgenres, right? So what were some of your like favorite bands when you were getting into music?
Yeah, when I first started playing music, I was I got into like Nirvana early on, especially as like a songwriter and guitar player. Like that was just awesome. to me. I even dipped my toes into nu metal a little bit. But then when I got into punk rock, it was really about that epitaph sound, man, like Rancid, Bouncing Souls, Bad Religion, NoFX, Millencolin, all that stuff was just, punkaramas and stuff like that was just huge for me. MXPX was a really big band for me. And then also, in my high school years, AFI was hands down my favorite band. Black Sails came out, All Hollows, and Art of Drowning. Like, that stuff was great. I loved earlier AFI stuff too, but that particular era was like when I was coming of age, so it made a lot of sense to me, and just like it was awesome. Especially like guitar. I was very much like just a guitar player for a while, and Jade from AFI was a huge guitar influence for me. And then like local stuff too.
Yeah. So how old were you when you decided, like, well, first, how old were you when you picked up a guitar, and then how old were you decided when you were like when you decided like this is what I want to do, like this is it?
I think it was probably about the same time, but I was like 11, 12 years old. I started playing guitar, and then just every single day after school I was just playing guitar until it was dinner time or my dad yelled at me, and then I'd go back until I had to go to bed, like just all day every day playing guitar, learning songs and learning how to play Green Day songs and AFI songs and MXPX songs and whatever, just trying to figure it out. And I even started my first band like with some friends, none of whom had instruments or maybe even a desire to start a band, but like I was like, we're starting a band, and we started writing songs before we even had instruments. So like, I was kind of all in right from the jump.
That's awesome. You brought that enthusiasm with you to your friends. That's awesome.
Yes, I did.
That's cool, man. That's cool. And then now I want to ask you this. So like I said before, I write and everything. Like when you started writing your own songs, like were you kind of like, I don't know, like, so like when I first started writing, like it was very much like I write dark shit, and I still do, but like I'm a little more accepting of it now. Like I was so like, I remember the first time I read like Henry Miller, and I was like, I'll never be able to do what this guy does. I'm just gonna give up. Like, was there any kind of like trials and tribulations for you, like an internal battle on whether or not you should be doing this or anything like that?
No, not really. I've always, as far as like lyrics go, I've always been a writer. Even when I was just a guitar player, I was often writing lyrics and vocals for somebody else to sing. I didn't really want to sing. I just liked playing guitar, but I really, really like writing lyrics and vocal parts. I think that's kind of when the songs come together. So I've been writing lyrics and stuff like that since, around the same time, 12 or 13 years old. And no, there was never really like a conflict of whether I should be doing it or not. I just kind of always did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're smart. I stopped for many years and it fucked me up.
I don't think I could stop, man. I honestly just love writing lyrics and vocal parts. It's probably my favorite part of putting songs together.
That's awesome. So do you start there, or do you hear a melody first in your head?
It's different with every song. I mean, sometimes I'll hear a guitar part and I'll like, that'll be the seed and it just turns into something. Sometimes it's a vocal melody, sometimes it's a chorus line, sometimes it's even just a song title, and then I just take that and run with it.
That's awesome. You said punk rock bowling coming up?
We're playing punk rock bowling on May 23rd. We're playing one of the club shows with Teenage Bottle Rocket, Make War, and Public Serpents.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then you just came back for some touring recently, right? Didn't we talk and you guys were getting on the road or something? You were heading to Europe?
We were in Germany for 2 weeks.
Oh, wow. How was that?
It was good. I used to tour there a lot before the pandemic. I was touring with Nowhere Bound. I did a couple solo tours out there. And then, my other band, Buried Cities and Knock 'Em Bones, toured there once or twice too. So I was touring Germany a whole lot, and I hadn't been back since 2019 was the last time I was out there. So when All Roads came out, me and the boys were like, we want to start doing some touring. So Germany was just one of the things that was top of the list for us. Aside, it was Japan, then we did a little Gulf Coast thing, and then we just did Germany.
There you go. Is the rest of the band, have they toured before too and everything? Was this like, or like, this wasn't their first rodeo or anything?
No. Well, Guido, my acoustic guitar player, my bass player, they've done plenty of touring before. My drummer and lead guitar player are pretty new to touring, what I understand, or at least like bigger 2-week-long tours. They've done like out-of-town gigs and weekenders here and there, but nothing like going to Japan for 2 weeks.
Yeah. All right, so the full band has been, how long has the full band been together officially?
The Revelry came out. Yeah, 2019. But like I said, there's been so many lot of changes since then. And this current incarnation has been together for a couple months, I guess, because we got a new lead guitar player.
Oh, nice. Then, so after Punk Rock Bowling, you said you guys are going to take a little time to start writing music together. So maybe a new album in 2025 or 2026?
I mean, 2026 is probably more likely, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, after this, like, All Roads is great, and I love it, and I want more. You know what I mean?
Thank you, man. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's, man, putting out a record takes a lot of work. I'm sure you know. It takes a lot of time and effort and money to make those things happen. So we're talking about doing we're talking about getting together and writing as many songs as we can. So this way, maybe next year we can do some splits with some people. We can release some singles, and then maybe even do like a little EP or something in 2026. And then maybe while that stuff is coming out, we can start working on what might be the next record.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's cool. Now, are you guys on a label, or you guys put this out yourselves, or?
We put it out ourselves. Travel Well Records is my thing.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Now, of course, it goes with the whole Roads thing, right?
Travel Well is like one of the first acoustic songs I wrote for my project. It's on my self-titled record. So, but I will also say that the last record that came out, we did do it ourselves, but we also had some help from other record labels. 31 Records out in Houston, and then Ring of Fire Records in Germany helped us out too.
That's awesome. Yeah. Now, is there when you're booking all your shows yourself, and you're using your contacts and all this stuff, right, to get all this in?
Yes, sir. Very DIY.
It's a lot of work, man.
It's exhausting.
Yeah. I bet all the stuff I do, I sit there and I think about like time, and I'm like, God damn, I have like technically I have like 3 full-time jobs.
Yeah, dude. It's when we got back from Germany, I mean, we got back on the I got back April 2nd, so like we haven't really done shit since we got back, even though we should be preparing for Punk Rock Bowling, but like I needed some time. Like, we've been fucking going hard since All Roads came out, so I needed like a week or two.
Right on. Yeah. No doubt. And you know, you guys know, y'all know what you're doing. If you didn't think you could take that time, I'm sure you would have been like, all right, we gotta cut this short and do the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I mean, I am still sending text messages to the guys so we can have band practice as soon as possible, because damn near impossible to make that happen. So
yeah,
if I'm not like on it trying to make it happen, then it'll never fucking happen.
I get that. I get how that goes sometimes. I have a small team with me with the podcast now, and like I went from doing it myself to having one person, and now there's like a couple people involved, and I'm like, it's weird because like I never want to be overbearing, you know what I mean? Because I just feel like I'm always overbearing, so I'm like, I try not to, and then it's like, oh, but everyone's great. Luckily, I had an old boss who told me, I was like, you know, because he was like, I always thought he was a good supervisor or a good like manager, and then he told me like the trick was just to find people that made you look good. So I happened to stumble across a pretty good team, you know what I mean? So,
nice. I might take that with me.
Yeah. Right on. Yeah, man. So I mean, so you got music, you guys gonna start writing some music, hopefully do some splits, maybe an LP later in the future. You got some shows lined up. You guys are out there doing it, man. And like I said, All Roads is such a good, I mean, the reception must be great out there, right? Like, you selling records while you're on the road and everything? For
sure, man. Yeah, people are very, we got a lot of positive response about the record, man. People were really stoked about it, absolutely loving it, and I couldn't be happier about that, man. It's just, we put a lot of work into making that thing happen, so to hear people tell me that they really resonate with the record means a lot to me, for sure.
Yeah, dude, it's a good job, man. It really is. Like, I get excited about a lot of music, but like, when I can like just sit there again, like, and to be like, this isn't like, I'm not trying to, you know, stroke your ego, but this is an important rock and roll record. You know what I mean? Like,
thank you.
Like, we need, I think just more of this. We need more of this kind of thing. Like I said, because I don't know if Red City Radio is doing anything anymore. And like, there's bands like that, like you were saying, like Hot Water Music. Like, you got, like, you're out there doing this thing, and you're making this music, and like, you can't really pigeonhole it. You can't. I don't care what anyone tries to say. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm all right with that, though. I've accepted it. Like, this is just my lot. That's cool. This music is it's just who I am. It's how I sound. And that's enough for me.
Yeah. And if anyone wants to fight you on it, you'd be like, look, I got a 4-minute song. You go over the 2-minute limit, right? But yeah, so all right, so Dylan, man, where can people find you? Where can they find you and the band? Where can they find your music?
Oh man, we're everywhere on the internet. You put in Dylan Disaster, I will pop up. Facebook, Instagram. Instagram is our preferred social media. Obviously, we're on Spotify, Bandcamp, DylanDisaster.com, DylanDisasterRevelry.com. Pretty easy to find.
What's this place? Where's the best place to buy the record if they can't make it to a show?
DylanDisaster.com.
Right,
/ merch.
I'll make sure there's a link to the website in the show notes. All right.
Right on.
So hey, listen, when you got new music coming back, hit me up, dude. I want to have you back on. You know, you bring the whole band if you want. You know what I mean? Whatever
Absolutely.
you want to do. Whatever you want to do.
My bass player loves chatting, so I'll have him come with me.
Right on. Yeah, man, the door's always open to you. You know.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, man, and congrats again on an outstanding album.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
All right, let's